just give people 1 or 2 more minutes to arrive, the people that maybe are still pouring their cup of coffee or whatever they may be doing. Just a minute or 2. And then I will just do a quick introduction and I'll read your bio and then you will take over.
Yes, and technically, yes, everyone's reminded that the sound of the microphone, yes, to be kind of muted. I think I put it as a muting, but somehow it gets unmuted as well. And if people want to ask questions, they can, if they know, they can raise the hand. We'd probably be more efficient if we have questions and answers at the end of the session. But if anything, like kind of considered to be like, it will be too late then to refer to some special moment in the painting. Of course, I'm absolutely fine if somebody will unmute their microphone and ask question. So we can stop video. I can do maybe some extra elaboration of the whatever I was explaining. And I hope everyone hears me well. And I work with pretty loud microphone. And
Yeah,
and also we have, yes, and we also have a chat room. So in chat room, I will not be able to follow it, but I already placed their link, and you, Hillary, know that link. So that link is for some sessions. And maybe I can start doing kind of a little announcement while we're waiting for more people to join us, that next week I want to do 2 webinars, and you can assign by that link, which is in chat room. If you click there, there should be like a sign of chat on screen of your device, whatever you use, iPad, any tablet, or desktop, computer, or even on the phone. And there you can schedule with me one-to-one sessions and introductory session. And also I added there 2 more events for next week. Wednesday, I would like to speak more about drawing, and Thursday, I will give a couple of webinars on painting. So that can familiarize people who have not met me before or heard or seen my painting during the show, and really would like to kind of hear how I teach, how I talk, how is the quality of equipment, how is connection, and so on. So you're all invited, and also share that with your friends if you think they could be interested as well, to kind of get introduced to see, you know, through the life we all we want to choose those teachers, mentors, or peers, and of course friends as well. So which we are not only admire how they work, but with whom we feel that we're on the same page, who are kind of care about us and so on. So I really invite you after today's webinar demo, if you would like to stay in touch with me, learn more. So that would be a good option to attend next week, Wednesday and Thursday. Again, it's in chat room, and it's a calendly.com/Rosera. It's a little bit difficult to probably to write it down. So, but you will see the link, and also I may want to
have it in the chat, which is so perfect for us, that we can grab that, copy
yes.
it, and then put it into the search. So that's perfect. All right, why don't we begin? It's 4 minutes after. We have close to 50 people that are here to hear you today, ZUFAR, and watch you. So first, I just want to welcome everybody to another Zoom demo presented by the Madison Art Society. I'm Hillary Griffin. I'm the president of the Art Society. And we've been doing these Zooms throughout the pandemic. We've done a few. Marianne Dees has been wonderful in setting these up, getting us our speakers. So she's been great. And Jen Thompson and various other people with publicity. So thank you to everybody. And ZUFAR, thank you for being here, and everybody for tuning in. Just a quick thing about the Madison Art Society. So we have about 250 members in our Art Society. We serve Madison, but the Shoreline, Connecticut, we're one of the more active art societies in Connecticut, and there are many wonderful art societies. So please consider becoming a member. It's $25 to join, and that will just give you all the access to our different events, which will now start to be picking up because the pandemic is slowing down, thank goodness. One thing that will just be a great thing is just go to the Madison Art Society website, which is madisonartsocietyct.org. And you can find out everything that you may be curious about right there, in addition to seeing our member galleries on the website. So that's mainly what the Art Society has going on. Friday night, if you happen to be in Madison, pop over to the new library. There's a Scranton Shops event. It's a big fundraiser to see the gorgeous new library, and the Madison Art Society will have a table with some small works for sale. So you can come visit us there. That's from 6 to 9. You do have to buy tickets, and I don't know if they're sold out, but I think it's a pretty, people are excited about getting into the new library. And then the other really big main thing will be our juried show in August and September. So again, go to the website. You can find out all about that. And I will tell you a little bit about ZUFAR BIKBOV right now. Did I say that right, ZUFAR?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I will go from your bio here. So born in Russia in the suburb of Kazan, the hometown of Nikolai Fechin, ZUFAR started taking drawing and painting classes at age 9. ZUFAR was 11 when he painted his first few works in plein air at his art school. He fell in love with landscape painting and started exploring the language of painting from direct observation. He built an excellent foundation from hundreds of hours in studio and plein air classes for drawing, painting, composition, sculpture, and wood. After high school, he chose the profession of physician, and for over 10 years, he dedicated himself to the studies and to his surgical residency, after which he decided to move to the US. In his new homeland, he chose to be an artist, and his painting and his art kept him mentally and financially afloat. His Russian heritage, reflected in his paintings and classical training, make him an excellent teacher. His passion, he connects two great cultures in his art. And ZUFAR just explained to us a bit about the classes that he offers and the webinars. So everybody, this is a great opportunity to tune in with one of the best. So we're very lucky to have you here, ZUFAR. And I don't want to take too much time here, but your awards are numerous, many awards regularly. So a very long list. And we're going to sit back and let you take over. Okay. So
thank you, Hillary. So thank you for kind words and making me not even much comfortable. I think I do things which I love to do, and I don't want to also take a lot of time talking about my biography. I think most important here, what I can do and how I can teach that to my audience who follow me as an artist and art instructor. Again, many of these things probably for a number of people in today's meeting know it. I will remind that right now until I believe July 22nd in Lime Art Association, which is not far from Madison, what's about 20 minutes maybe driving, or maybe even less. There is a solo show of my works going. I will show in slideshow, and maybe I'll say a few words about paintings, and some of them are in the show. And if you want to see them in person, you have a good chance to do so. I would encourage you to visit a show sooner, because we ask collectors who buy paintings not to take them home and keep them until the end of the show. But it's not going to work with everyone, because if people buy it for birthday or for something else, so we'll try to replace. But again, I have some traveling schedule, and I may not be able to replace it immediately. So coming now is good. We have some paintings with red dots, and I'm very grateful to collectors that they decided to keep them so far until the end of the show. The second thing, I have some engineering background through my dad, I would say, or at least influence. We've been building out of kind of city house together And all equipment which you will see today is I create on my own. It's different, it's unique, and since medical field as well, I think I have, I want to see not what I see, but with your own eyes, if the quality of the video is good, is everything is done at the best, so you're comfortable as a student, as an artist, and do you have a good kind of advice to follow after we had session together. I think for a teacher that's very important, and that's what I would wish from mentor or teacher or coach if I was studying anything, sports, arts, whatever, literature. Quite often I like comparing a painting to writing books, which I think has some parallels, but let's get closer to my art, especially I think those who haven't seen my works yet could be very excited. And I will start with my with a slideshow, and hopefully all our equipment will be working properly. I've been giving number of presentations and everything was working perfectly well, but you know, equipment is equipment. So now these days electronics are great. But who knows? I think I'll be able to fix it immediately if any issues. So my slideshow starts with this painting, which is acquired by Brinton Art Museum in Wyoming last year with a group of Connecticut artists. And one of them is Beverly Schermeyer, who is a member of your art society. So we went a few years ago and painted. And then we had last year's show, Connecticut Artists Paint Wyoming. So this is one of the paintings from there. It's not exactly as Sedona, it has a little bit different stones. I think it came out very nice and composition-wise. And I believe, yes, I received the award for this painting at the Connecticut Plein Air Artists Plein Air Painters Association. So this organization exists, and I'm sure a number of you are members of it. So this painting you can see in person, and it's available because I had to drive this painting from Maryland, and it was bought by one of my collectors. So we're good friends with her, and I asked them to lend me for the show a couple of paintings. So I have them on show. You have a chance probably in Connecticut to see it now, and I don't know when it will be next time. This is another painting from their collection, and you could see that both of these paintings are paintings of ferries, and this is the same ferry which goes across one of the rivers in Chesapeake Bay area. It's one of the oldest operating ferry in that area, and and this is the end of the day, and it's called Last Ferry to Bellevue. It's one of the points of destination, and another one which was during the day. So this was I think Bon Voyage, because you know, next to ferry a lot of smaller boats just go faster. It's not very busy ferry, but I like to juxtapose, put them next to each other, day when it's busy and night when it's quiet. So this is one of my favorite paintings, also done in plein air, and most of paintings which I show here are done in plein air, or at least started and made most of it during plein air session. So this is 100% done in plein air in Pennsylvania, and I love here the value, contrast, color, feeling of freshness. It's still not hot day of summer, so there is some coolness of colors, and at the same texture and line. Some of them are bold brushstrokes, some of them are very thin. So there's some air, and again, as an artist and instructor, I see some negatives in this painting, and I would be able to do analysis on it if any interest, but not today, I think. anyway, I'm glad to share with you, and it was immediately about the people who are owners of this property. So this painting has some story, and it's in Oxford, Connecticut, and it seems to be, for me, it was a challenge because this rectangle, which is dark and very bold, how to present it right in the center. I was looking and walking for a better view and walking around this house, but none of them was good enough as this one, except of that compositional dilemma. Again, next week, Wednesday, in our chat room, you can schedule a talk about composition and some little demo on drawing. So, and here I decided that if I will, a little enhanced effect of new leaves on the tree on the right side. You see there is an older tree which is large, and there's a little kind of shrub or bush, yes, I would say younger tree growing. So it's broke that line, and then of course from the left side, so this shed also kind of interferes. It created, I think, special feeling. First, it's created a strong feeling of light. Of course, cast shadow help to create so, and those daffodils in the front of the house at the same time, and some reflection actually in windows. And I was, it's finally balanced to what I really wished this painting to show. It was a portrait of a house, which was a family house, which was on the market already, because mom, who used to live there, she moved finally to house of her son in Southbury. So for me, it was a chance to create something which would remind them of their childhood and later years visiting mom. Here's a drawing, and the drawing, this is not sketch. This is kind of like drawing which I do to the elaboration, which requires to start painting. And I teach a 4-step landscape painting in 4 steps, and I think we record. Yes, we record DVD, which you've seen, like on the screen right before we started our session, and it's available on Streamline. It's Lilidol, well-known DVDs, and Eric Rhodes. So we this year we recorded this DVD, and within a couple of weeks they all recuperated all expenses. Looks like DVD came out very successful, and I already received my first check just yesterday. So yeah, this is step 3. You could see if you can recognize. So I work with step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4, which is a final painting. And I'll be a lot referring because I think this is optimal system, not 1, 2, and go, but really 3 years it was checked. It works well. It works well for understanding the concept. So goals plus creating references as someone who is trying to improve quality of painting. That really helps to you to look back. Not always we take pictures of our process in progress of the work. So this will help students to analyze better their own work, see weaknesses, and improve better. And also it helps to communicate to an instructor. Doesn't matter, you'll be kind of studying with me if you choose so, or with someone else. So I really, my first goal is for all of you to be happy with your art. And the second thing or third thing, fourth thing, I use that studying with me or not. If I deliver you concept, you know, it's like a medical knowledge. There are a number of doctors who sacrifice their life and sometimes, yes, really merely their life to prove something, some concept, which became then for everyone available as a knowledge. So another painting with some, which is landscape, obviously. It's Door County in Wisconsin, and I'm going there this year again. It's a Lake Michigan. I just decided to include it, even though it has a vertical format. So how beautiful water could be, that green water, which is like an ocean, but that's the lake, which is a freshwater lake, at least in that area where Door County is. Place this painting, which won Medal of Merit and award from Hudson Valley, I think a couple of years ago. So boats, we have a lot of them. These are longer boats, which boats of watermen. They don't call the crabmen people who hunt for crabs or harvest crabs from water. So they call the watermen because crabmen doesn't sound nice, I guess. It's a longer boat. That is why geometry of these boats a little bit different. You can see that. Wyoming, Texas. This painting is on show. The previous one was sold in Wyoming, so, but this can be observed. I actually got some awards from Matsutek Museum this year for this painting. Just study, also Central Connecticut. I would say it's a Morris. It's along Route 63. And I think it has its very good place because many people can stop and paint there. There is a good public parking, and you know, it's a problem sometimes. You see beautiful view and there is no way to stop, or you need to ask permission and you don't know which phone to call, and I'm not sure are there any dogs, guard dogs around. So this place is great because there is no need to, I mean, it's very accessible. This painting is on the show. It's, as you see, tractor, and it has its own story and also strong feeling of light. I like cloudy days as on previous painting, but when the heat of the summer can be shown in the painting, I start even feeling the smell of the sap of the pine wood or whatever treated maybe wood. So a beautiful scenery done 100% on plein air in plein air Easton. This painting is on a show, so please come and visit Lime Art Association, and that's also a farm in Wyoming, Bighorn. And Beverly, I see you, so you must recognize this view. I see you smiling. Yes, I did smaller study of this work, actually 2 smaller studies. One of them I keep as my just color study. The second was sold, and then I decided I will create a bigger one for the show. This is actually all from imagination. This painting is a crisp breath of October. It's just play with composition, which finally inspired me to create painting. I think it was a little brighter in colors. These colors here look a little bit washed. Yes, so we did a circle, and what I want to say about the, yes, I hope you enjoyed. Please come and see paintings in person. And what I want to tell you, what I want to, yes, tell you about this particular demo today. First, yes, this is my 4-step approach. I have actually some DVDs available from my studio, but anyway, if you want to start immediately to watch it, if you are interested, so that's on streamline.com or Streamline Art videos. They will give you access immediately after purchase, which is, I think, great that we live in 21st century. It has a lot of crazy things, but some benefits as well. So this is the view, and I have here, it's not done in 4 steps because we would need to have a session of 4 or 5 hours maybe, but I have here a drawing and I have here painting. It's all done in plein air. It's done in Milton, Connecticut. If anyone's interested where that location is, where I was exactly sitting and standing, and just email me, and my email, actually, I will include it as well, but I will show you. It's easy, gallery@zufar.com, which is my first name, ZUFAR, or class@zufar.com. Both of these emails, I really check them a few times a day. If you want to go there and paint after this demo, no problem. I'm happy to share. I'm happy to make you happy. And also, this is pre-recorded for Clinton Art Society, which again, I think some of you have been attending a couple of months ago in April. That session, I did a demo in studio, and then we said what we can do for Medicine Art Society, which would be kind of next step. So I decided I will show plein air session, not mimicking sitting in studio and imagining that's plein air, even though it's a lot of information can be covered in studio. I'm not absolutely not against that, but to give you some unique thing to see. And again, with equipment which I created, which makes me very portable and I actually can fly with it. So to other parts of the country. I did this recording, and you will see on 10 by 10 the whole process of painting. And I was sitting under the bridge. It was a hot, humid day, and under the bridge, it was much more comfortable. It was also a waterfall next to me. Under the, it was not a real waterfall, but there was a like strong turbulence of water. I really could not talk to camera. That's one thing. And second thing, I think when I paint, I focus a lot on my painting to have it done in a smaller amount of time. And now I'll be absolutely anytime giving comments, explaining things. I can stop the video for whatever explanations I need to give in advance. So, this is plein air demo. And I think we're ready to start, right?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Okay. So it
Eagerly
will be
waiting.
running for another an hour and 20. I created also, I did editing, of course. I sat for a couple of hours, made it more viewable, and of course you're the first people who watch it. that's the great thing about it. So starting with location. So this is, you can see that I'm under the bridge. So this is little, just a moment. It's not very smooth at this time, right?
Oh, it's fine.
It's fine? Okay.
Oh, it looks great.
Okay, so let me talk about the scenery. Oh, I watch what you see because of, again, I have excellent internet connection here, but we as an artist watch for every little detail in our painting. So that is why the transitioning and digesting all the video is a little problematic. When I study and I have some pre-recorded stuff, I send it to my students like in HD. And then, of course, during the Zoom session, we do everything live, and then recording. I think, Hillary, this recording will be also available for members, right?
Yes,
At least
it will.
if you, yes, it depends on how your society kind of work, but we can keep it somewhere and it will be accessible to be watched, rewatched, or for other members. So what's interesting here, it's a wide scenery and kind of like, what's the landscape format. And I work on square format for my classes. Why I do so? I want my students, my peer artists who wants to do the same thing, to see how I solve the compositional challenges, dilemmas, questions, and then to work on in your favorite format. You want to do vertical, so square is closer to that than the horizontal. And if you want a horizontal, so you have plenty of space to expand, and then you will need really not to copy what I did, but to see, do you want to expand, include the left part of the scenery or the right? So I think in advance that my square format really helps my students to take extra steps gently, but go a little beyond what they've seen during the demo. So let's see further. I really like how this contrast, you see that grass on the left looks like, and there is a dark kind of like, yes, the evergreens growing in the distance, they're cooler. And then the vertical lines of those spruce trees, it's a nice combination of the kind of roundish elliptoid or roundish regular leafy trees, and verticals, almost triangular shape of branches of these evergreens like spruce trees, maybe some pines that also show up. Plus, we have very nice effect of transparency of water, which can be seen in shadow or reflection of darker shapes, as you see on the left side. So you see rock, and the side, I mean, light is almost what we call contre-jour, against the light, against the daylight. So the grass on the foreground is very bright, So it's all creates some sort of kind of diamond shaped composition again. There is a lot to talk about composition, but I just would like to touch you, and I really pay a lot of attention to that. So planning, painting, and then not to think much about it. So when we need to focus on colors and values. So you will see a reference, and the reference which you see here, the great thing about it is that it's a real video. It's not just a picture, and that was exactly the view which I had when I was painting it. So if clouds come, and let's say I paint and I do not know what to do with colors, and you will exactly see all my challenges. I don't want to show you that I'm such a master, have no problems painting. No, as anyone, as any artist, I have problems painting outdoors as well. I just want to deliver them what problem I have, what problem you may have, or I had in the past, and how to cope with them, how to fix them. So it was, though, a sunny day, and I'm working here on, is it really, I think it goes slow, isn't it? So it's not really smooth. Okay, yeah, I just will try to fix it for you, because what I see here.
Yeah, you're right. It seems to be
Okay.
slow motion.
Yes, give me a second.
Mm-hmm.
So give me a second, and I think it got a little better. So what I'm doing here, I'm doing first, I do sketch, and my sketch is mainly separating all space which I will have on canvas. At least I'm thinking ahead to larger shapes. And quite often, first sketch, often, not this time, it happens that I do a couple of sketches, because I try, and then I tend to be so involved to, I see some details, you know, and those details attract a lot of attention. There is a lot of contrast around them. Those details really pull attention. And then I realize it's not something which is my focal point, why I'm there. Or I start drawing too like large, and then I don't have enough space on my paper. So that is why I always draw in some rectangular shape, which is shape of my canvas. This time it's square, and I have space around, so I expand my composition. Because when we look at the view, we don't see borders there. Of course, we can kind of rehearse having our viewfinder, or maybe taking picture, or even looking at the view through a screen of our phone, which will give you 16:9 ratio. Not many people use that kind of canvas. If you use, you probably, I mean, phone will be your, I mean, phone is your best friend for choosing composition. But anyway, I test everything on paper, and it really makes me to simplify larger shapes, and also to see what traps I can fall into. I can really get interested by this shape, that shape, and then I stop myself, you know, all how to stop ourselves, squinting. Squinting is not only makes shapes larger, it's also soften edges and those details which have strong contrast around them. So that contrast, which is enhancement of the contrast, it disappears because of edges looks smoother. So you see shape in value, which is close to what you need to realize and evaluate during the drawing and painting, subsequently painting process. Because when you step back from your painting, or when you finished it, and you, of course, you've been all working on a distance of 2-3 feet from your surface, and then, I mean, not so many people walk so close to your painting on in the show, or have it so close in the house when they buy painting. They will be observing from the distance, like maybe 10 feet, depending on size, of course, could be 15, 20, or depending on the room size as well. Or yes, most of the time it's maybe like 5, 6 feet. If it's smaller painting, it's absolutely different distance. So how to not to get to that trap when that your artwork looks great from the distance which you painted, and then you look at the distance which your collectors will be looking at it, and then things fall apart, or your focal point doesn't read well, or the attention gets pulled to other parts of the painting which was unintentional. So for that purpose, again, squinting helps a lot, and squinting often. And another thing is doing pauses. When you pause, your brain and kind of switch to something else, walk away, and we have a cup of tea. So we don't anymore encourage people smoking cigarette, which has another couple of minutes of break. So, but anyway, a step back, step away from your painting and come back. From a distance, you'll start seeing what is wrong on your, what's really not consistent in your plan, in your overall whatever painting or drawing, and still time and to fix it. So I try to discourage to start painting immediately. It's really, drawing doesn't really take much time. And you can test yourself. If drawing is not happening well, very likely painting will not happen either, because of it's again, it's a trap. It's a kind of trick. You think like with a brush, with a lot of brush strokes, it will be possible, as some other artists do, to create that effect of the tree. It's most often it just doesn't work because of it works opposite way. If you can draw it well, then you'll be able, in smaller amounts of brush strokes, create that loose, nice shape without too many details, but the object will still look like an object. House will look like a house, tree will look like a tree, water surface looks like it's horizontal and it's laid. It's not like standing like a vertical line. So again, I had some time limit, of course, doing this demo, and as you see, I'm not going with very rough sketch, because here I try to hit two things. It's sketch and maybe a little more than regular sketch I do. So, but I want you to already see in this sketch, it's one step towards a drawing. It has some detail, but not too many. It's rather has some texture, right? You can see texture, and of course values. I try to see what's my darkest dark will be, and that will be definitely some shadow part under the spruce trees, almost like in the center of the painting or drawing, and then reflection. Since we don't have here the temperature kind of scale, you know, pencil is everywhere. There's a gray and black and the white piece of paper. So we don't have effect. Usually warm colors look closer and a little bit lighter. Again, talking about reflection, how they look, how they should be presented. It's the whole course of how to paint water. And I'll be happy to teach if anyone's interested. And I'm sorry for doing a lot of pitch, like saying, come and study with me. You know, I just think if you are interested and you feel that you would like to, you have questions, we can study together.
No, we appreciate that. We're lucky that we are able to study with you. So don't apologize for that.
Yes, in medical field also, teaching is very important. Sadly, that these days there is no time. Everyone's rushing in medical offices and in hospital. There is rarely you see doctors who sit down and really speaks to patient, explaining things, what we're doing next, why we do so, what you need to expect, what you could be scared of, how to deal with anxiety and something. They rather just prescribe you anxiety pill and that's it. And so we'll say in a couple of words what's going on, sign here and so on. That's it. So I really think, yes, that's not sufficient for communication. And so you see, I'm correcting some values on the left side. the format of what we have here is almost a vertical. I mean, not vertical, it's a little bit taller, but my drawing is a square. I did not want to put picture in picture, so you could see a little bit more of a space around the scenery or those objects which I'm drawing and planning to paint. So as you're a little bit of as a distraction. Also, time to time, I switch to a wider scenery and in my videos, so you could really, again, see what I was dealing being outdoors. So at this time, when I was happy with my drawing, and since the format is small, I didn't really divide it by thirds. Everything seemed to me that seems like I didn't do any of most common mistakes. Going in the middle, like symmetrical composition, because everything is pretty well balanced. A lot of things are on like based on thirds or golden ratio. I'm just trying to trick myself to look at my drawing again a little bit to simplify it, or at least mentally understand simplification. So I did a value scale here, which is great for practice. And I'm seeing like I decided to do that 5 values will be enough, where my values like going from lightest to darkest presented. And I was looking, of course, on my drawing, and also I was looking at the scenery, what you've just been observing for 10 or more than 10 minutes, what I've seen before. Now I'm trying to reorganize things, and also things like this called value contraction. There are hundreds of values outdoors, but to make, and of course, millions of details. When you're standing, looking at the scenery, and we need to kind of group them. And so you would see where one value kind of shape disappears and where another starts. And also it helps us to make the definite brushstrokes. Brushstrokes are separate from each other. So I'm working on a slightly toned canvas, and I here just transferring my drawing. I don't look at my actually the scenery, even though it's right in front of me, because I'm sitting under the bridge. that's again, that's the real thing. And I'm making myself looking just at my drawing, because my drawing is that semi-abstract presentation, just shapes with a little hint of what it could be. Let's say you could say that the spruce trees on the right upper corner, because of adding a little of texture, the spruce tree and the shape. So now I'm redrawing it. And during this redrawing, I also have a chance to eliminate some accidental lines, or if I did so in my drawing, I would just erase them. So,
and ZUFAR,
yes.
What are you drawing with? Exactly.
I'm drawing with oil pastel. I came up with two idea to use the oil pastel, I think like in Jerry's Art Drama supply store, because there are oil paint sticks exist, and some people paint with that, and I thought it's not suitable for drawing, but oil pastel would be nice, because regular pencil doesn't work well. Charcoal is not very convenient at times because it's so fragile, and it creates a lot of dust. And oh, sorry. Okay, I could hear some sound. Just a moment. Yes, just a moment. Give me a second. So this is oil pastel, and I use a couple of colors. There are some of them have a very strong pigment, and I use very sparingly. But the blue and brown are my most commonly used ones. I actually think that it doesn't really matter. Are you using more or less expensive oil pastel? Some of them cost $1, and others they cost like $4, because the amount of pigment is not important. Everything, I mean, all pastel which is applied now, it's pigment and wax. and this wax is getting really dissolved by solvent or medium which you're using with your oil paint. So all of this will disappear. But then there is a moment when I again apply oil pastel. In March, April, yes, I think issue of the International Magazine, there is an article of me doing demo and using with more accent on oil pastel as a supplemental medium. So now you see I applied my palette, and previous sessions there were questions what this palette is. I will show at the end if you are interested. And colors are titanium white, King's blue. I will go, I think, a little bit behind. So the red and green, olive green, cadmium yellow light, no, the lemon. So that was cadmium medium, cadmium orange, yellow ochre, raw sienna. This is umber raw, and this is transparent oxide brown, and this is terra rosa, alizarin permanent, one of the purples. I would say nothing specific, and also pastel violet by Blick. I like that premixed paint. And on top you can see the King's blue, cobalt, and ultramarine blue. And I mean, we'll be back. So talking here about brushes, not fancy brushes, and I will end up, you will see, just working with the 4 brushes. All of them are round. Again, I'm here to do my plein air work. In my plein air work, one of many works are, I mean, they are not made exactly with intention to work with and finish it as a painting. I do that for study. I do that to show it to you. And then if my plein air work came out nicely, I want to come back and maybe start my plein air work, or maybe finish it of a larger side, or maybe do it in studio, because many seasons are very like fast flying. Like, let's say you want to do lilacs, like a week later there are no lilacs, but this view will be like that, pretty much like that, for pretty a good amount of couple of weeks. I have a chance to come back or observe it in fall. I might like just the shapes and overall composition, but the colors I want could be different. So that's the place which I come and see every season. So let's get back and see what's really happening on our canvas. You see that oil pastel gets dissolved and adds a little bit of mud. Our clean paints kind of start getting more variation, kind of some brownish tinge and hue, which is not bad, I would say. Also, I work now, which I rarely do, just like in some situation. I started with my lights. I tend, and I like to start with my darks, but the thing is, with contour effect, when we have very bright leaves and grass against the light, it's good to have underpainting done first with kind of transparent paint, or at least with a very thin layer. And I'm using, as you see, I've been using here mixed with, I mean, everything's here. It's really easy to see. I'm so happy with this type of palette, with cadmium lemon, with cadmium yellow medium, and cooling it down, turning towards the green. I've been using a couple of blues, and ultramarine blue is great. You know, for grass, and especially for trees, using plain green for the bigger part of the, let's say, of the crowd of the tree. I try not to do so. I really mix it from the yellows, whatever I have, whatever I prepared, and blues. And of course, ultramarine blue would be my workhorse. When I need to make things like warm, I will add olive green. If I need to make some places cooler somewhere, I just will add a viridian green. Viridian green is, I'm using it less, not because it's expensive pigment, when of course when you use the natural, the real one, but because it's crazily bright color. If I do that like more in the underpainting layer, I would try to I tend to cover it up, showing it just somewhere. It's a long, long way of finding the right, not only the right things to do, but the right order of things to do. As was told to one of the great instructor who lived in Connecticut. I think he wrote the book of Keys to Successful Landscape Painting. I think his name is Cuddle. He passed away, I think, just like a few years ago. He was saying that you become really a good artist when you know what to do and when to do. Because, and that is why videos are great. They really give you best timeline of events. And if it led to success, you see that. If it led to some failure, you see that as well. And also, it's possible to watch it again with the live demos. If you watched it once, unless the video is available, you really kind of have some taste, like in the mouth, like how it was inspiring, how it was great. At the same time, many things get missed. Left, like we cannot really see a million things, and of course we cannot pick the brain of the person who is doing demo. During demo, it's very hard to explain at the same time. And also pre-recorded videos are great because they could be used, at least by instructor, to get back and talk over and give more and more comments on exactly the same episode. So the student can say why you kind of here changed your regular order of events, or why you put here immediately, whatever, the olive green as I'm doing right now. I could explain, and we can watch it again, and then could be another question exactly on the same second or on the same minute. So it expands and becomes a very valuable tool. Also, I would encourage you, even if you do not teach, to do recording, if possible, of your own working process. That's what one of the things which I want to, and I try to encourage my students to do, because judging and critiquing your works only based on the final result is not often helps easier and clearly understand where the problem is. Even the, that time lapse would be helpful, because it's possible to unfold it and make it from time lapse back to kind of relatively slowly, not video, but sequence of slides. But videotaping, again, with equipment, with our amazing phones, which everyone have video studio in their pocket, it can become a great tool to improve and work and know better your style of painting, your maybe great or mistakes, mistakenly acquired habits. So we can work together. So my students and me, to bring my student to better results, to have more confidence, basically, at these art shows, at the art events. Especially quick draws is a problem, right? When you have like 2-3 hours, you have to finish, and then you have to frame it, show it. It's just sometimes it's just quite a disappointment. But the learning, it's just like endless, because every day brings different colors, different mood, different ideas, what you want to show. So as you see, I work here in shadow part with cooler paints mixes and with the warmer ones. Why? One of the reasons, of course, there are different trees. And here I did not want to block for you the view of my palette, because I had choice to show you reference on the left side or on the right side. So left side would cover painting. It would be inappropriate to, if I cover the right side, then you cannot see the palette. And as you see, I tap into my palette every few seconds. So so we send you in email all, that the major, I would say, just image, still life. And also I have entire recording of the video of this view, which was changing a little bit slowly that day. It could be a bigger challenge again if clouds came, right? They came and and then the scenery changes, and then maybe some special effects happened because of some drama appeared in the scenery because darker clouds came, and maybe rain started. Again, sitting on the bridge it was great. Even if rain starts, I can paint there. Very special place. You can stand like an open place. It's a park area actually. There is good place for parking. It's good to hide if there is any bad weather as heat or good weather. I mean, or the bad weather as a rain. So as you,
I'm sorry, Zufar. What
I'm
brush are you
using pretty
using?
large size. So yes, let's look. I will get back to that. It was one of the round Princeton 5200 brush, which is well known. It's a bristle, and I think they make it for decades. It's very popular, inexpensive. It has that specific color on the handle. In the Princeton, if you go Jerry Sartorama and ask for Princeton where their stand, you will find by the color of. And this is larger size. I think it's like number 10 maybe. Yes, and it's round. It's not flat. I love flats, but I would say rounds are commonly used in Russian School of Art. I think it has some like more springiness to it. Flats are great, but when I do my color study outdoors, I start laying my first layer. Round could be a good option. It should be not very stiff, and it shouldn't be very soft either, because with the first layer we deal with a dry surface, and if your brush is synthetic, it's very soft, it will be too much bending. If it's too hard, you'll be scraping your canvas and not leaving much of paint on its surface. As you see, I specifically lay my first, yes, I have a question actually from Barbara. Where's this park? This is, yes, I will answer a question immediately before it got overlooked. It's Milton, Connecticut. It's part of Litchfield, and I think it's called Bend of the River. It's next to cemetery, nice old cemetery. So it's quiet, not much traffic. So if you search in Google or Apple or whatever maps, put there Milton, and we'll search for cemetery, you will see this view. Or again, email me. I will be happy to give you exact location, like by GPS. You just will need to tap on your phone, and it will give you directions to that place. So yes, so getting back to painting, my underpainting here is warm. Why it's warmer than I think what we see on our reference video or the real view, because water is overall cannot reflect 100% of light. So it's not a mirror. It depends on angle which we're observing it at. I mean, we're looking for reflection. So closer to us, so looking almost like closer to the right angle, 90 degree, it reflects less light. And if it's less steep, so like far away, the water surface, it reflects more of the light. So what I'm trying to say, even in the area in the distance where the river bends, part of the light which is coming from sky and the shadow area from sky and somewhere from the sun as well, and reflection from the object themselves, it gets absorbed, and we start seeing after absorption of the light part of the bed of the river. It's a little bit more shallow closer to us because that's closer to the bridge, and it's warm. And also it's easier, I think, to apply in those kind of muddy texture, cooler values, because to put them on top of the warm in this situation will be better. When we do skies, we first apply cool, clean colors and then apply warm where it's needed. So you see, if you will compare looking at above the water reflection and the real view above the water, it's cooler. And also this second explanation why it's cooler, like the real object, because of the atmospheric perspective. It was again hot day, humid day. So it was before this thunderstorm. The thunderstorm happened that night. Thank God it wasn't during the painting process. And we create atmosphere effect. We don't really stronger in the real on the real object. In reflection, it will be all kind of muted by the warmth of the water bed, which we see through the reflection of whatever of the scenery in water. There are a number of also special tricks, not tricks, I would say laws of optics, how reflections get created. And surprisingly, when we were studying optics in school, and I had some books in physics at home, I kind of learned how, so where exactly anything which is above the water will be reflected in water, in still water, and of course how it gets dispersed when we have waves. So I learned that and I still use it. So for over 30 years, first I was using it for drawing, then later for painting. So now I did not still touch my sky area because I want that layer to dry enough, not to have like mixing, but with water, reflection of sky in water, as you see, I'm going with blue, which is mixed with some brown, some warm colors. And then I know that I will go over that layer again to make that reflection of sky in water cool and clean. I'm talking about the blue colors if needed. So now I go with this is not second layer, but I'm kind of mixing it, melting it into that scenery. You will see I will expand this. Yes, you see going down, creating that gradient from cleaner color down to kind of darker and muddier kind of color. Again, because of reflection, reflected light absorption. And when also on these days, if you can look at the reference, at least image, you will see that the sky was very light. So it was hard to see any clouds there, but they've been definitely presented. I'm preparing mixes actually for sky. And since there are no clouds, I would say where exactly it's kind of all like a steam. You can start with cooler colors or with warmer colors. When we have definite clouds, I usually start with cooler colors, with the blue, with the clean blue. And on that day, there was no clean blue in the sky. So that is why I create not even, but like vibrant surface, vibrant kind of, I create brush strokes. And as you see, I'm not going over the same place over and over. First, it will, on the surface, will create absolutely homogenic presentation. I don't really want to destroy it. And the reference, there was some kind of hints of clouds. Yes, they've been definitely there, but not really kind of, there were no edges of the clouds. Also, this is my color study. This is not final painting, and I do not consider selling this painting. Let's say I have a freedom of doing whatever I see there, experiment, and this is smaller canvas. And if things go wrong, I totally spoiled I just will put there another canvas and it will work. How much time we invested to this work to this point? Maybe 40 something minutes. I mean, on most of the days, when we work on larger canvas, we like outside, we spend like 3, 4, 5 hours. The problem here is that the light within an hour change. I think the maximum you can tolerate and see the scenery as it was inspiring combination of objects or whatever, scenery. In 2 hours is different most of the time, unless it's cloudy day, overcast day. Even here, uh, the light on this tree, you see on the right side, the contour effect started fading because of within an hour, a little bit more than an hour, light from being like going through the tree turned, and it became like more from the side, and the shape of the tree changed. You can see it here. So then this is not the end of the painting process yet. This is like 40 minutes from the start. So I'm taking smaller round brush, actually a couple of them, and not because I need bigger or smaller. I'm trying not to overwork details. I'm trying not to pay attention a lot to details. Maybe texture, presentation, maybe some edges, but you need to have variety of brushes, because when you paint something with something green, most of pigments, even in mix of the blue and whatever, ultramarine blue and cadmium, it's still green. It gets to every other paint. So that brush which you already used for greens, it's better just to keep it for greens. You can go warmer, you can go cooler with the color, but green will be green. So here I try to introduce some color variation and also to rework of my drawing. Again, not trying to go crazy for the shapes, but kind of show here and there, this is the tree. And I like those kind of sharp edges, which it has on the right side, where the sunlight is coming from, where the light source. And I have to slap my own hands, ZUFAR, don't do too much details. This is your color study. If you need more details, do better drawing. You will need them, of course, when I'll be working on a larger canvas. If this will go through all my 4 steps: master painting, bigger painting, studio, or better outside. And of course, yes, after the color study, you know already path which you went through. If you did recording of your drawing, that's even better, or the time lapse. And then you can come to this place painting with already some blocking done. Some drawing already could be done. Your composition, so your lines, your values, maybe in shadows, the kind of major dark areas will be there. Of course, you cannot predict exactly how sky will look, because, you know, sky is sky, it's air, it moves very fast on that atmosphere. And you may start with a blue sky and end up with a sky like this, and vice versa. I'm using it, my oil pastel. It's time for my oil pastel came. So now I'm creating texture and adding color, and I'm kind of like working with the color now, not just for lines and transfer my drawing. And you know those sky holes, I create them. I want that shape, the dark shape on the right, not to look like a green rock covered by moss. I want it to look like, at least to please my own aesthetics, that it's this tree. And I'm took blue oil pastel to create sky holes, to show those sky holes. They exist there. And also there is a refraction of light. You know, what's the refraction, right? It's so when the light kind of bends and you see, let's say, sky light on this with over the edge of the tree, and that area is usually bluish against the sky. On grass, it depends which edge you talk about. So it's could be warmer on the front edge of the light and cooler on the back. Again, it's the whole lesson or conversation and subject, but it definitely something which is good to know to make your paintings more lively. I try to test my painting for the look as an illustration. You know, illustrators, they're great at drawing composition, but quite often because of limits of the polygraphy, at least like decades ago, there was no need to be so rich and diverse in colors to show that little bit bluish brush stroke here, a little bit greenish or brownish over the green in there. They've been working at it with the masses. And when we paint, we need really to see whole color variety. So that is why I care. And that's actually brings liveliness to your painting. That makes your painting be a real painting rather than a good picture image. So there are a number of artists who, yes, in Russia, I would say their composition is not the best, but because they have so rich and accurate colors and values, the painting looks so impressive. It's not abstract, it's still in a channel of realism. It's done with a larger brush strokes, but because of the balance of colors and values, it looks like you breathe that scenery, you see it. There is an air, the tree looks like a real tree, even with not perfect shape. So I think here, working with a too small brush, I tend to work too much with the texture. And you see how smaller brush trying to cover all area. I kind of felt that I lost the color, so I have to introduce it, adding more. And those spruce trees on the left, I think maybe they're Hamlet trees. They're not kind of have very warm tint, warm hue in them. So they look almost brownish, and the reference image that photograph definitely shows it. Oh, by the way, I think we should record and should share with all of you a video how you would take your reference images, because now our smartphones are so smart, they take pictures the way as we don't want them to look like. Have you noticed that? All these smartphones are mainly have a protocol for creating image good for taking photographs of people, of portraits, selfies. And they do not care much about how accurate colors and values. So first, of course, all of them do exaggerated shadows, too dark, almost black. Everyone knows and heard about that. Now, I think a couple of generations of Androids and iPhones, they do too much details. So they create so much of texture, and then the color and value. Let's say you take a picture of a tree, it will show you every leaf on it, and it will outline every leaf, and then the color gets lost, and value is different, so it's not good. And I take picture, it's not with the regular kind of my camera phone, but with free app by Adobe, which is a well-respected company. With a Lightroom, it has a camera function, and once I have this video available for you, I want you all, when you kind of look at it, and you probably will find it helpful, when you take a picture of your reference, to bring or finish your painting, if you feel that you have to, you would have decent reference, decent photograph, rather than those artificial photographs, which again are good for portraits, not good for landscape photographing. At one point, I realized that if overall my scenery, my painting, I mean, my painting looks too broken to many parts. I tried to show shapes kind of more solid. That big mass of the tree on the right upper side, it looks solid, maybe too much. And then everything else looked too kind of broken to parts. When we work on with the first layer, we like that effect of brush stroke. And then after you cover your entire canvas with paint and you pay more attention to values and analysis, yes, it becomes a problem. It doesn't look cool anymore. It feels just too much. So introducing extra color, I still try to do that in the balance of this bigger shapes, create them solid, and adding extra color if needed. Because you know what I'm doing there, warm mix application, I'm not sure will camera, even video or photograph will show me that warmth. I usually go also with the formula of at least 2 best 3 colors in lights of every, let's say we have a tree, right? In tree area, and it's complex. It has millions of leaves and branches, which sometimes look through trees, clusters of the leaves. It adds extra color or feeling of color. So, but when you work and paint crown, you would not do, of course, obviously, like one color for the shadow part, one color for the sunlit part, unless it's very small trees somewhere like 3 miles away from you. So when we have trees on distance, as we have in this scenery, I would try to work with at least 3 color value variation for the sunlit side, and for at least with 3 color and value variation for the shadow part. But the value-wise, they should be close enough. So that's again the contraction of a value. I like that concept. I do not know who exactly been talking first about the value contraction. I learned that from my peer artist. You probably know him, but he's Mark D'Alessio. Yes, so he explains that as well. I did not really explain that after him, but I definitely give credits to him because that was the first place where I kind of, that concept which I understood before was really placed into words and was given the term contraction. So having less variety. So they're all value-wise close to each other, but the difference is in temperature and most likely paints which you use to create that mix. Any questions? Maybe because I know I'm talking, and if you put your question to chat area, I see it showing up actually, which is very convenient.
Anybody out there want to ask ZUFAR anything?
If you could just tell me what the soft white is that's on your palette.
Soft white?
The white that's in your upper right corner there. What is that color?
It's in fact, it's just one white, and it's titanium white.
Oh, it looks so creamy. Okay.
Yes, it looks creamy because I think this all recording was done outdoors.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And so this is live. I mean, this is the light which was coming, whatever light I had under bridge. And I was surprised that being in so deep shadow, I still had pretty decent colors in this video. So again, it's amazing how good cameras are. It's just like 6-10 years ago, I couldn't really imagine they could distantly could have a conference like that and have such a good video, not investing to super professional, I don't know, like $30,000 camera. So now we can do that with phone. You see now the shape, I try to kind of like make it solid and trying to remove those effect of dry brush, even though I love it. But I don't want my painting to be painted based on effects. I want my color study, my painting, which I do in plein air, and having the best access to colors and values. I want it to have most accurate colors and values. I want to create something which will be for me a reference if I cannot go on site and finish a larger painting, which I have all my, I would say, chromatic, coloristic impressions I could get being there. Because again, photograph is just, I don't know how much it cuts down, 50% of what we could see being just there on site, maybe more, maybe less, but still significant amount. I don't know how strong should be humidity so the camera could really show accurate and proper atmospheric perspective. It shows, but it's so bluntly at times, too much blue or not enough blue. And I want to share, again, I repeat that, through my paintings, experience of a human looking at this place, not experience of the human who looked at the photograph of this place. And I'm sure when you go and paint outdoors, you have absolutely the same idea, right?
Mhm.
Talking about medium, yes. So on the right side, as you see, once we get back to palette, and
Mhm.
actually once after the demo, I will show you my palette. We can talk about that. Right cup, I have my cleaning solution, not as a medium, even though it can be used as a medium. It will not spoil the painting. It will not make painting falling apart. But that's the terpenoid natural. Unfortunately, don't sell it in Connecticut anymore. There is some, whatever the Connecticut law for delivery. It's not toxic, at least not much toxic or more toxic than other cleaning for oil paints solutions exist. They all have that kind of lemon smell. So again, terpenoid natural. When you'll be out of state of Connecticut, maybe like in Massachusetts or Texas, you can order it and it will come like shipped by Blick or any other art supply store you prefer. And on the left side, I use a medium. And medium wise, I was for years using Galkit, just regular Galkit or Galkit Light. Sometimes I was mixing it with the Gamsol, which is, I mean, all this Galkit and Gamsol are created by Gamblin, right? The company which produce good quality, good price products and accessible pretty much in any store. And this is Galkit gel, especially when I have my palette and I have to have it like tilted. I don't want it really to spill on me. And I tap to that cup often. I mean, at least especially in the beginning, because I want my first layer to dry fast. And that is why I use gel. And gel, surprisingly, it's compared to Galkit itself, doesn't change its own consistency. Because Galkit gel, when you paint out, I mean, I'm sorry, just regular Galkit, it's liquid, like thin honey, or a little thinner than that, like thicker oil, vegetable oil. And then over an hour or two, it gets thicker like honey, and then it's hard to take it. Gel stays all few hours the same and doesn't even dry fast either while it's sitting in a cup. But once it's mixed thoroughly well with your paint, like when we mix paints on palette, it gets activated. So Galkit gel in a left cup, my medium, and Terpenoid natural, my cleaning, brush cleaning solution in my right cup. I'm trying to finish in my painting now my above the water, mainly scenery. Imagine there was no water. And in this case, we don't have much of the river kind of reflexes, I mean, on those trees. There is definitely exists some. Of course, if we stand where those trees are, let's say those on the right, and you look into water, there's definitely some reflection of the skies. And these trees, they catch that reflection. And we see reflexes on these trees from the sky, which is right almost like behind us. Very strange things like mind twister. But that's what happens with the light. Again, based on law of optics. And if we had no river here, but let's say we had a lawn instead of the river, we probably would have also the shadow part a little warmer. But in deep like shadow, where the darkest area under the tree, there are less of leaves, I mean less of needles on these evergreens. It's more of a dead branches and the needles, dead needles which fell from these evergreen trees. And that is one of the reasons why the shadows there have like more of a brown. So regular leafy trees, like they don't have so much brown under them because shadow is not that deep. shadow is not that dense and solid. Yes, image, actually, I mean, this video definitely doesn't show exactly what I was explaining, but when you're on the site, kind of change angle, you walk around. I like kind of taking time choosing the view. With viewfinder or without viewfinder, if I like it, I just try to sketch it briefly, at least if it feels good. So I choose it as a place to start, and then I do better sketch, and then of course ready to start doing my painting like this. I did a little bit of alteration, I would say, of composition. The tree on the left side, there was a large spruce tree, and I didn't want to really create a curtain effect. You see, we have like from the top to even below the middle of the painting, 2/3, solid vertical pretty much shape, which is broken by that light tree. I talk about the right side. If I put something similar on the left side, it creates curtain effect. Curtain, it may work sometimes, but most time you don't want to create symmetry, having same color, same texture, same value, or close by value objects or shapes. That is why I try to eliminate that. Large spruce tree, and the tree which is on the left, it has also a compositional issue. It's by shape and size, it's close to the tree on the right side. It's almost reflective. So I'll be, you will see later, I'll be fighting that. I will try to make shape of that tree on the left smaller, with a little bit different colors. And again, at this stage, I think I noticed that. I don't have to correct it immediately, but I can do a drawing, kind of recomposition before I start working on the bigger canvas. Or I just can put a note for myself. Look for these trees on the right and the left side. They are similar. I can put a reminder for myself. You can write actually on the back of this color study too. So it would be a nice place, right? So this is the thing, and there is a compositional mistake. But try not to, yes, my advice would be try not to really work hard on shapes. Kind of like create all nuances of shapes, all nuances of lines. Since paint is fresh, you most likely will lose color and value. Actually, within an hour, the light or the shadow moved that way that we have a cast shadow on water. And as you see, I work on it with the blue. For cast shadows, especially when we have to do a shadow opposite to warmer colors, the cobalt blue works very well. So you see behind that bunch of grass, right, almost like on the lower side, on the right, lower part of the painting, to the right from the center. So around it, there is a shadow, and it has a lot of blue in it. I'm not sure, can you see it well in this presentation? But you could see that I was picking the cobalt for that mix. So now I see the value of my reflection of sky, and sky very close. So let me make water look like water. And you see that I use pretty well loaded with paint brush. First, it helps me to create, if needed, sharper edges of my brush strokes. You know, there are not so many situations when we need to really make edges soft like a cotton ball sides. And also, as you see, I go with more intense and darker by value. I'm trying to find a right intensity, or what we call chroma, of the paint. I don't want it to be absolutely muddy, but I need to find the balance of values, colors, and how it works all well together with comparing this shape, which has color and value, to shapes around it, colors and values around it, and of course to sky, which is the source of light or source of shape, I would say in this case. Also, during my demos, I try to show when I clean my brush. When I did webinars on YouTube before, and some of them are still there, but because of contract with the Streamline, I might need to remove it any day. So I heard from people who've been attending webinars, like, we want to see when you switch brush, when you clean your brush, because, you know, it makes a big difference. Yes, if you started painting with, let's say, blue, and you want to do something purple next. So what you do, you use the same brush without wiping it and mixing whatever you have on your brush to that mix on palette, or you just wipe it and start over. So that is why you see my paper towel showing you when I wipe my brush and continue with relatively clean mixing a new one. If I squint and look at screen, I already start seeing how my painting will be looking at the end, or at least the idea. So I reached that point because overall the principle, of course, this stage is a little beyond the blocking, but the all color study in plein air could be very expanded blocking stage, I would say, because we are, again, here for colors and values. And if by this time the painting doesn't really show the whole concept idea of composition, imagine this is I mean, we finished painting, and when we squint, well, our painting, final one, large one, which it's not created yet, like if we squint hard, should look close to what we have to have by the end of this color study. Maybe just, yes, because when we squint, we kind of distort shapes, we don't see edges, but the colors and values balance still will be there, and the bigger shapes will be observable, can be observed. So same thing with what we're creating now. If you come back from plein air session and you have not reached that feeling that this would be the view of final painting very close, if I squint hard, that's very unlikely you will end up with a good painting. From photograph, of course, we can get the also details, again, to look at the composition. Yes, but again, values, I would not really rely on photograph as a source for value. Here, here's some rocks and also some gravel, and kind of like light granite gravel, because again, that's the side of the bridge, but it looks pretty natural. I really like how those rocks in water look, not now yet, but how it looks on reference. And I will work on it a little more. And during my little over an hour session, the light on those rocks changed. Also some shadows from bushes on the right side, which is even beyond our view here. They've been moving, they've been covering this rock with cast shadow, then it was again got opened to the sunlight. Definitely not time to do all crevices and of the rocks, but to show what the value and color in shadow will be. It's a good idea. Plus, it's, you know, it's very peripheral, even though we have these leaves of grass. I mean, that's against the dark reflection in the water, kind of very nice point with a lot of contrast. The rocks which go to the right and down I mean, they have less significance. Try not to go crazy with details. Just show a couple of rocks, larger ones, create here and there texture that it's a gravel, and even like in your final painting, that will be enough. You see these all trees, the light ones. So one on the left, one on the right, and this not tree but grass. It creates a triangle, which is a little bit affected by the grass on the left bank of the river, and also creates. You see now actually shapes, the lighter green shapes of these trees on the right and left side of the river. They are not anymore so close in values or colors. That one on the left side is more sunlit, and this one has more of a shadow. And also that shadow part on the right side kind of value-wise merge with the grass on the left side, on the right side of the river. And that tree on the left side has more of the sunlit area. And it's kind of, shouldn't really exactly by color, but by value, very close, and it feels like not just that egg shape something, but rather like a shoe shape. I would like to add more of a contrast, that upper edge of the grass. If you again have a chance to look at your reference, you will see that there is a kind of little like bunch of grass just growing up. Maybe it's a little new tree started growing. Cannot say remember. I don't remember exactly, and I don't have a reference image for me. I was when I was editing this video, I was thinking how much more. I mean, I should be showing you reference during the painting process. At the same time, you know, there are some videos when there is let's say half or more than half of your screen is your, I mean, a canvas of the demo artist, and then there is a quarter is a palette, and quarter is a reference image. Reference image is so little on that screen, which I would say like has no much of the reason taking space. You barely can see larger shapes there. It's good maybe for drawing or the sketching, but not for painting. And a palette, which also attracts a lot of attention, how things get mixed, that's one of the bigger mysteries. So it also has smaller view. Again, going with the oil pastel, I'm using here light blue. You see that kind of like a halo, bluish halo around these trees. It's a cooler. It's not only a camera effect, it's also the real view. When you're there, you create. Oh, actually, one of the best examples you can see on paintings of many impressionists. There is always a blue outline. You go to Griswold Museum, many paintings there from the end of 19th century. They did that. They really exaggerated because an academic approach, Academia of Fine Arts in France, where the impression is coming from, I think they really been teaching not to look for that effect. Not effect, I would say that's the natural observation, natural effect.
ZUFAR,
Yes.
are you keeping that blue halo, or are you covering that right now with the peachy color?
I leave it somewhere. First, it's also when I apply my oil pastel, that area where I have a track of my oil pastel line, it becomes not dry immediately, but it has less paint because paint gets pushed. So I go over it, but just partially. So I leave it mainly, but also I use it to the track of the oil pastel to create sharper, cleaner edge of my brush strokes, which I apply. So I keep them generally, but not everywhere. Partially they get covered,
Okay.
but I still want that blue to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I just do not do it so strong, so exaggerated as, again, it was when it became very like a new discovery. So let's do that effect.
Very nice.
It's a feeling of haze, feeling of light air. I think it was idea of the atmosphere perspective was mentioned in works on Leonardo. He called it sfumato, which means like steam. No, fumata, I think, or sfumato. And so it means steam or bluish, kind of like haze. No, I think it's fumato. Fumato, like fumes, cloud, smell, kind of like a haze.
Yeah, fumar is to smoke in Spanish.
Yes,
Fumare,
so,
Italian.
yeah. So that was introduced in art, and at least it mentioned in works of Leonardo. When he was doing, like, let's say on his Mona Lisa, of course, all blues faded and it looks very warm in colors. But I'm sure when he was doing original, what he was referring to, now it's kind of grayish, but at that time it was probably more of a blue paint. I mean, it's getting not only faded because of varnish. I think varnish gets darker. They don't want to really break the paint layer.
I have another question. This is kind of, and anyone else, please chat your questions and we'll read them out or raise your hand. Being a plein air painter and you're going out to mountainous, real wilderness sometimes when you paint, have you had any animal encounters or any interesting adventures on your plein air? Because we all know it's very different than studio painting. I mean, even just dealing with the mosquitoes and the spiders is like not something that I enjoy. But anyway, yes, I'm trying to get there.
Only moose, which could be dangerous. So the moose was a female moose without small, how they would call it, calves. That I was lucky. That was in Wyoming. On the way to Yellowstone, I stopped. I did paint. Actually, I did drawing and painting, but never seen bear. But you know, there was nothing funny, nothing scary so far.
Let's ask Bev.
But that's what happened. It's better to get prepared, you know. Yes, I think I'm just probably to think more about it, because by the time it happens, it will be too late.
You bring bear spray when you're out in Wyoming painting?
I did not, but I think I have to. Or did I had something, yes. I did paint, I don't know, I was painting a lot along the road, but I did not paint a lot like in mountains and like absolute wilderness where, yes, there were a lot of woods. I would probably had to.
Yeah.
Again, I just along the way, I was stopping, and again, we also spend a lot of time during the travel just for future, when we come back, what to paint. So yes, good idea. Thank you for reminding, because yes, this year we go again to Wyoming and Utah with family. I think
can we ask Bev? Can we ask Bev if she's had Wyoming experiences? Oh, Bev, someone has to unmute you.
Yes,
we saw animals in the distance, but we didn't have any problems with them. I mean, we took photographs of them instead.
You went to pet them? No.
Yeah. Okay, we had one person with us that ZUFAR and I could take photographs, but as soon as she got out of the car, all the animals would run away. So we told her she had to stay in the car, and we would give her copies of them.
Yeah, the humans can really wreck it. Thank you.
Yeah. So we have about like 6 minutes of this demo, and I just would like to say that at this point, you know, quite often we get tired mentally looking. Of course, after 3 hours, we'll be more tired. But you know, when we do color study, we try to work intensely just to have the best shortest span of time possible for painting, when again all colors and values are taken accurately. We have some idea, we feel it, we feel that we became part of that view. So this view will be we'll come back to our dreams. So you kind of really get engaged. And it's still good to take a break. 2 minutes, 5 minutes. I would not really try to suggest to go and take break looking at some other art, because that can really take you way too much from the scenery. And if you check emails, emails also can actually distract, because they really, you can start thinking about some other things, which schedule and something, oh, I have to leave. I would check just messages. Is there any emergency things happened while you've been painting? You have to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I know that this is a color study, but most of us who paint would think that this was pretty much a wonderful painting as it is. I was wondering if we wouldn't have an opportunity to see the finished work from this color study. Will that be possible?
That will be possible, definitely. I like this view. I discovered this view maybe like a couple of years ago, and I go and observe it every season. And I did recording of this view specifically for demo for Madison Art Society demo. And I like this view. So when I go through this stage 2, my final compositional decision, and then we'll create the larger painting, final painting, master painting, whatever we can call it. I call it stage 4, the real finished painting. I will show it. I'll be happy to share with you. Let's stay in touch, or email me anytime, or we can do that through the Madison Art. Whatever. I do not even know how it will work the best, but I plan to work on this scenery to create maybe 20 by 20 at least from this, which is 10 by 10.
It's very beautiful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And would be maybe nice to show the whole process. And also if to do a painting with educational purposes, it would be nice, like in the same setting, but to paint another 10 by 10, but as finished painting. It will show a difference between how we work outdoors, which you watch now, and how we approach when we have this outdoor painting or the color study done, drawing, photograph, and working studio. So I think that should give a good path to paint more often outdoors, to come back with good references, not photographs, but the paintings, and still have good amount, still create nice views, nice paintings based on that purely plein air work. I would really discourage you or anyone, and myself too, always say to myself, with what was created outdoors, try not to work on it. Because this painting is not for the show. This painting is not for the sale. This is this is a work which reflects all my experience. First, of being there, and of my skill level, which I acquired by this time. For me, that will be probably the most true, honest book of my skill growth. So let's say, if I look at this painting like 10 years later, 5 years later, and I can compare it to other paintings, maybe not of the same view, maybe the same view, but other views similar, I could say, over this time, my palette changed, or over this time, I started to, whatever, started treating greens differently. When we work in studio, we tend to kind of work to what we know, not to what we see. Because photograph, again, often, or reference, quite often using photograph, we have a lack of information. We take a lot of information from our brain, especially when we deal with the colors. And what we have here has very little for what's coming from the brain. It's all coming from our capability of seeing and capability of mixing colors and capability of applying those colors in accordance to what we see. So try not to, yes, I mean, at least dedicate enough good amount of time to find time to do these kind of paintings, which are not for sale. If you show it on shows, yes, especially those paintings which, I mean, those examples which you strongly decided to create, to turn into painting. If you have something which you don't want to turn into painting, and people say like, sell it to me, maybe that would be fine. But so we're done actually. So time goes so fast.
Yes.
Yes, so let me switch to what we have here on my table. So ask your questions, any questions about the demo. So you can see here my hand. I can show you, explain you, but basically outside, as you've seen, I created this image and this image. And I can, yes, I can, I'm open to any questions about the technical things, about the palette, about brushes. I have all brushes which I used next to me. So I can show it to you, read for you, and help to find them if you want to try exactly the same brushes and so on. And of course, to ask the question, you can raise hand. That's one option, or second hand way is just to unmute yourself and start talking.
We have Carol Jeffries. Would you like to ask your question, Carol? Or I can read it. Okay, so she says the reflections in the water look much greener in the reference photo than the brown in the painting. Is that intentional to indicate that the water is not very clear?
You know, that's the thing of the plein air work. Initially, when I started painting, you've seen that I did kind of underpainting brownish, which wasn't in the beginning, or maybe it was like first 10, 15 minutes, because I did not do water immediately. And water looked cool. And I was saying that I will probably go with a cooler color, but I want to show difference. And because of, again, absorption of the water, of the reflected light and so on. But then closer to the end of the painting, the sun turned even within an hour, and the sun was going over the surface of the water. So reference image which you have was taken in the beginning of the process. Maybe would be nice to show maybe at least 3 pictures or 4 pictures sent as a reference to show this was beginning of the session. That's what I started with, because, you know, the painting was evolving through the through the time. You know, it didn't happen immediately as a still picture happens quickly. And then the light was changing, and I made it warmer. And the reference doesn't show at that time of the day. You know, I can do one thing. If you really think that you would like to paint this view, and you don't kind of feel that you will find that place, or you want to drive that far, I can share with all of you a video of that view. And you will, for an hour and a half, you'll be watching how weather and light changes. If you prefer, you know, there is, again, so many technical possibilities now. We used to paint from photographs before. Now we can paint from video. That can give you, if you have a good screen, nice, whatever, the TV or monitor of large size, you can kind of have it running and paint along. That would be a possibility. So Carol, would you like to have or any of other people would like to have just a video of the scenery, not this, but the scenery, just how it looked all an hour and 20 minutes. You will see that the light and colors were changing. So it started with a greenish reflection, then it turned to be to warmer reflection. But the cast shadow over water, I think on the level where the grass is here, it all was again cooler, because here we got a lot of light. This was actually casted shadow, I don't know, from this tree or from something else. And I think this shadow was from there are a bunch of bigger trees right on the side, a couple of spruce trees. If you go to the place, you will see it. It's actually a good place to stand at and look at this river. You would look at it that way. Why I chose under bridge, I explained. Another thing, I really like the rocks here.
Yeah.
They don't look cool here, because they don't look very nice. But again, I can retrieve shape and whatever the texture of the rock from photograph. But I got those colors. I got them correctly, at least at the best I could do, to the values and colors compared to water, compared to these rocks here. And from this color study, I will be able to retrieve. And again, photograph will help me maybe to, if there is any special interesting shape, I'll get it from there. I really like the reflection and seeing shallow water and reflection of the rock. Again, I was trying not to be perfect in shapes, not perfect in every detail. So,
Yes,
but
no,
I think, Carol, I answered right why this happened. Again, the reference photograph you have is that doesn't have light on this part of the river because it was taken in the beginning of the painting process.
Thank you
Alright.
very much, ZUFAR.
Yes, any request, if you after this session have question, and I'll be happy to explain. I
We
think
have
it's
two
great.
more
You can
questions.
just email to me. I don't think it will be too many.
Can I squeeze in one more question?
Absolutely. No, ask. I want to answer all questions. And
All
I know we have to finish by 12,
Yeah,
but
let's
I
try
really
to,
don't have to run somewhere at 12.
okay, let's try to
Save a
stick
few
to
more
the
minutes.
plan.
Yes.
So let's go for this question here from, is this from Joan? I'm not sure if it's from Joan McPherson or a different Joan, about the palette, asking about your palette, if you could
Yes.
explain it.
Okay. Let me show my palette. Let me show my all secrets.
Revealing the recipe.
Yes, it's so this palette is not probably very good for the traveling artists. This is good for me. I created with the intention to do a nice, good quality recordings. So again, I think I've just published recently the little video which was based on this demo, showing that and telling that if anyone from other art associations would like to make a demo for them, studio or plein air, please email me to class@zufar.com. I just put my email to the chat timeline, class@zufar.com. And also, so I created that to do just demos. I don't think this is a good palette for those who just want to paint. The classic easel is still the best. Whatever you prefer, Day Tripper, which I usually use, or the French easel, or Russian easel, any of them. So this is not really convenient for painting itself, but it's convenient for you to see what I'm doing. I'm adjusting. So I think I named all colors here. So titanium white, King's blue, and they actually are a little different. Makers make a different shade. So this more to the sky color, but some of them are like more of a like purplish, which more to the kind of like, which are warmer towards the red, like a cadmium. I'm sorry, a cobalt or ultramarine. So this is cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, and this is paint, one of the imitation paints, which I use is manganese blue hue. For sky, I like manganese, kind of type of color, or cerulean blue. But the pigments, even if you buy two for $40, $50, $60, I haven't tried all brands. Maybe Vasari is the best, or the Old Holland, but I was disappointed with the quality. Plus I use it not too much, but it will get dry or something. So I used manganese blue hue, which is based on phthalo, which I don't like, but it has so limited amount of it. So when I do paint sky, I use it. And sometimes I add it to mixes when I need to create something very bright green and use it just very little, never for the entire branch or entire tree, because you know the phthalo has optical whatever problem. Under different light conditions, it shines differently. It's like phosphorus or something. So you can bring the painting, paint outdoors, it looks great. You bring it and have regular light on it, and it starts becoming very crazy color, kind of too blue, too bright, too intense. So that is why phthalo, it's some color which if you use, or if I use it, have to use it, I use very, very little. So don't use it like a lot, that type of blue, manganese blue hue imitation. And second question is?
Yeah, so then we had, well, Beverly asked if you always, this should probably be our last question so we can wrap up. Beverly asked, you always do the sketch values?
Not always, but you mean, if we talk about the sketch value, do we mean here, you mean this scale or overall applying values when I create? So Beverly, what did you mean? Did you mean I apply value on my sketch or I create this?
Yeah, do you always take the time to do a value sketch like the one you have right there?
So right here.
Yeah.
I find it's really big time saver, even though it takes a little bit more time, extra few minutes. But if I do that, my painting process goes much smoother. It's a part of that system, and not philosophy, it's just technical. It's a system which helps me to understand. We have, let's say, scenery, that's the view. It has too much information. My painting will never have that much. And I have something quite abstract, which has main idea of shapes. And if it has also idea of values, it's a great thing. And my painting will end up somewhere between this and the real scenery. And I will go with simplification close to here, and with the richness of colors towards, and with the colors towards the real scenery. And when I have here values applied, it helps me not to get lost between those lines. You know, so the values and the way of shading I use, that's really helps me. I tend to do a color, the value sketch pretty much most of the time now. I'm trying not to do value sketch on my canvas, you know. Here, I can take another sheet of paper. Here, changing canvas could be a bigger problem. So yes, so that's my answer. And also, as you see, sometimes I do shading. I do not do every line. I kind of drawing trees, drawing shape of a tree, which is complex, takes addition of branches over and over. I teach that in foundational drawing course. And actually, there is a live in a campus course is coming in Lyme, which will be 14 to 18. So I think we have there still some spots because it's relatively expensive.
Yes.
And
so that's a class where people can find you.
Drawing, but you know, when I work with students one-to-one, I show like, so this can be done like during the session of the teaching, or like even one-to-one. You can explain in detail this part or that part, or how they, let's say, sometimes during the session we do something like this. I can easily explain, and you see, right, I broadcast right from my studio. I create that in front of the person just for that person, because let's say that's the chair which my student was struggling in his or her landscape, or so explain where the problem is. Plus also when I teach, we use another great iPad of technology, which is yes, I can show it here as well. So definitely I can show, explain, like I can even kind of do it close up. So really, what's the better than just regular screen sharing, that I can here show exactly where the problem is. Plus, of course, using pencil the Apple electronic pens, like you even can highlight whatever is wrong there. So put some notes and email it to you if you're my student. So that's the beauty of studying in smaller groups or one-to-one when we have a live critique. So depending how much people,
excellent.
so that would be something, if any one of you is interested, email me. And I think once I have the schedule, I think by this end of this week, and reminder of the next week webinars on composition drawing, and one will be about the paintings, I will share with all of you. I think that's okay, right?
Yes, we will just please make sure that your email is in the chat or a way for us to contact you. We will be posting this video of the demo on the Madison Art Society website, so everybody can go back and focus in on areas that they found interesting. All of it was wonderful. Zufar, thank you so much. And hopefully
welcome. So
everybody
let me-
here will get up to see your show, your solo show up at the Lime Art Association. And another thing that I just want to get this in very quickly is Friday night, the library has a fundraiser in Madison. Zufar, if you're free, you should come and we can all chat with you and meet
Okay.
you. So it's a
I'll go.
fundraiser for the Scranton Library. Honestly, there'll be wine. I mean, it's either, I don't know if it's $25 or $40 a ticket. I don't know if it's as high as 50. However, music, wine, food from Cafe Alegre, and prizes. The Art Society will have a table. We'll have little works for sale. Some members have cards and whatnot. And so that would be wonderful if you can come, bring some
I
people.
will consider. Yes.
Everybody, we're all stir crazy after coronavirus. So it's just been wonderful watching talented artists like you bring your talents to us. So again, we thank you so much. And we'll be in touch with you about jurying a future show as well.
So yes,
Okay.
will be my second time if that will happen. Thank you so much. I mean, I think if once you have some skills and many other people are interested, you have to share it. That will make the world better. So beauty will save the world, as the Dostoevsky said. So that's the formula. And also, I think the teaching, once you get a professional, teaching is one of the most important social roles. You know, if you are, let's say, a good doctor, you should not only take care of patients, you need to teach other doctors to be at good level. So, because with the professionalism, you come also to the level when you understand your own weak parts. You don't want those mistakes to be repeated by other people.
No,
With
and we all
healthcare,
know.
that's even has a more impact. You don't
Yeah.
want somebody to make mistake because that impacts other people whom they treat.
Yeah,
So here as
teachers
well,
change lives.
yes, I really want you to be happy with your works. I want you to have straighter way. It doesn't say, cannot promise any miracle that will happen like in 3 days or in 5 hours you become a great artist. But the study still definitely can be more efficient. If you have to do hundreds or thousands of hours of work, first you may need to have a motivation, and that motivation may come from seeing your progression. You do better, you go outside or in studio, more work. That's a great thing to make it faster over the span of whatever years or months. The second thing is also if the work requires thousands of hours, you don't want it to spend hundreds of thousands of hours of doing so. It still can be done shorter, because if there is no straighter way, but still it can be still like more curvy and longer. You don't want to make it longer than it's supposed to be based on your talents, on your interest, and so on. So I'm glad if I can help you. And today's demo was helpful as well. And
It was very helpful. Did everybody hear that? Get over to Zufar's websites, get to his classes. What was it? Whatever. I'm not going to say the websites, but give us one that we can all go to, and then we will sign off with a big thank you. So tell us your website one more time.
I will. Yes, my website is zufar.com. I had the poster, but I don't think I will be able to show it. Just a
all right,
second.
that's darn easy. Zufar.com.
And another thing is right in chat room, right in the beginning, I placed there a link And if you go there, you can schedule, you see, for everyone, calendly.com/Rusera. It's in chat room last message. So there you can click and see if you want to have one-to-one appointment, and also there are also 2 links to book to attend webinars next week, Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday will be about drawing, two webinars, one in the morning and one in the evening, especially for those who are in California. So I have people coming from there too. For them, it's important to have 2 different times. And Thursday, it will be about painting. I want to share more information, more of some things, keys or whatever. So it will be not exactly a demo like this. I will be, again, showing student environment. Of course, that will be kind of a learning class. And of course, for those who would like to continue learning from me, for them, it will be a nice introduction to start with and to know what to expect or ask questions and so on. Again, thank you for having me. And
Yes, thank you so much for coming. We all loved it. And we're all hopefully going to get a little bit or a lot better because of this presentation. So thank you very much. And maybe we'll see people Friday night.
Okay.
At the library in Madison. Okay.
So my camera doesn't switch back to my face, but I really sending you my yes.
All right,
waving
everybody.
you my hand. Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.